Tape Deck Media.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Ruddle Me This. I am, as always, your host, the Laugh Liberator, Taylor Ruddle. Back for another week. We had a little bit of a palate cleanser from Charn Williams. If you listened 2 weeks ago, we went through the process of Charn donating her kidney to someone that was in need of it here in New Zealand. But we actually recorded 2 podcasts while she was over. I thought I would chuck in the episode with Ocean as a bit of a palate cleanser, just so we don't overload people with the same guest too many weeks in a row. And I thought it would be nice to end on a bit of a positive, because obviously donating a kidney is a very heavy subject matter. It was a lot of medical things, and even though it was a feel-good story, it was still just heavy what we were talking about. So we thought we'd end by talking about Charn's 5 tiny joys. It was a little bit of a way to sort of finish off with some positivity. Again, I don't have really anything to plug except for the usuals. Come out to the Laugh Cellar on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and to my quiz night at Moi Moi on Wednesdays. It's getting colder, so it's great quizzing weather, and we've got a whole bunch of new prizes, and the quiz is just it's a fantastic quiz. It's a great time. Alrighty, so without any further ado, let's get started with the tiny joys. Please welcome to the show, everybody, Ruddle Maniacs and Ruddaholics. Welcome to the show, Charn Williams. Okay, hello Charn again. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me again, Taylor.
Delightful. Mysterious 2 or 3 weeks have passed since the last one, but you don't look a day older, so it's great to have you here. We are going to do an episode of Your Tiny Joys. I don't know, it feels weird following on a podcast straight away, because you're like, oh, we don't have to do all the intro stuff because we just did it, but this is going to be a new episode. So yeah, welcome back to the podcast. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you going?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's been a fun evening. So yeah, I don't know what sort of preamble we have. Let's just do the joys. Abort mission. Yeah, exactly. What was your first tiny joy for us today?
My first tiny joy is my oodie. Oh my god, I love my oodie so much. And it's a real oodie, so you can get knockoff oodies. And I was kind of like a starter program where I started with a fake oodie, and then I graduated to a real oodie. So I'll explain how that happened. Please. So I got a fake oodie because I saw the price of a real oodie, and I was like, no.
Well, because even before that, you said you were a blankie. You were a blankie person as well, right?
Yeah. So I do. I love blankets. I've got a problem with them. I get sent. There's this meme going around that's like, tag your friend that has a problem with blankets, and I always get sent that or tagged in it. And it got to a point where I had to not buy anymore because I don't have room.
Well, because just to stop you there, because there's a whole thing where they say that offices are not set, like women feel the cold more or something. Yeah. It's like it needs to be like a few degrees, like hotter or colder, or I'm guessing hotter, because the whole blanket in the workplace thing is very common. Like I had co-workers at my last job that all had blankets and slippers and hot water bottles and stuff.
I have a blanket for work, and the only reason is because oodie is like technically clothing and it's not part of the dress code, so I can't take my oodie, but I do have a blanket as a bit of a loophole, and it's so good. But yeah, so I was like really big into my blankets, and then the oodie came out, and then I was like, oh, it's a blanket that I can wear. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I saw the price tag, and I was like, absolutely the fuck.
What is the price point of an oodie?
Well, you can get like 2-for-1 deals and stuff now, so it's not so bad. But at the time when I was looking at it, it was like $65 or something for one, and I was like, I'm broke, so no. Yeah. But then they had like the knockoff ones at the warehouse or whatever, which are like $35-$40 something.
Are they called like Snooty or something like that?
Yeah, they have some dumb name. I was like, all right, no one's gonna know. Although someone did call me out on it once, I was like, oh, I'm wearing my oodie, and they're like, that's not a real oodie. I was like, go fuck yourself.
So you were like when people would, like sneakerheads will call each other out for not wearing genuine Jordans.
I was like, all right, you snob.
Yeah. Was the other person wearing an oodie at the time?
Yeah, they were, which was the worst part because I didn't have a leg to stand on. I was like, all right, one of us has money and it isn't me.
You're just covering the label. It is an oodie.
Just get a vivid oodie on it. Like, they'll never know. But yeah, and so I had this fake oodie, which was still amazing and I love it. But then my best friend who lives in Invercargill, she said to me, oh, I've got your Christmas present. And this was Christmas before last. So I've got your Christmas present and I'm really excited. I can't tell you what it is. And the funniest part of that story is that she's got really bad ADHD, so she didn't send my Christmas present until April. So it arrived 4 months late, and it was worth it, I tell you. So I pulled it out and I was like, oh my God, it's a real hoodie. And I put it straight on. I sent her a photo. I was like, I love you so much. And like, it's one of those things that, you can deal with a knockoff version, but then once you go to the real thing, you can't really go.
You find out where that extra
Do you know what I
money
mean?
went.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I kind of get it now. Like, it's bigger.
What is the difference? What would a knockoff one cost you?
Yes, I think my knockoff one cost me about 35.
Yeah, so it's
40,
about half.
But like the real hoodie's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a tall person, so it's good because I can sort of sit down and then it covers all of my legs. It's
Nice.
great. And it's warmer, and it's heavier, which some people I think wouldn't like. But I've always liked the idea of those like weighted blankets because it's a real comfort thing for me.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. And so it's real nice just to sit there and just have my hoodie, and my knockoff one was just a plain blue one because I guess that's the other thing, they don't really have that. It's getting better, but at the time they didn't have that many designs on the fake ones.
Pretty
but
fancy
now,
ones out,
yeah, it's getting better, but the real hoodies had all sorts of ones, and so because it was a present I didn't get to choose, and I pulled out the packet and it was just sloths. I was like, are you trying to tell me something?
Oh man.
I get it.
Do you like sloths?
I mean, I don't mind them, but I've never expressed an interest in them particularly. So I'm like, that was a calculated decision.
Genuinely, my mother the other week, I don't know I forget what we were doing exactly, but my mother just comes out and she's just like, oh, I love sloths. And I was like, You've never said that. What, 30 years that I've known you, like you've never said. And she's like, oh, I love them. They're all just slow, and like she just had all these things she liked about sloths. I was like, where did this come from? Like I've never heard you say this. So.
Do you think she's like, seen a documentary or something recently and gone, oh, what a cool animal?
Well, I know my parents like to go to zoos and stuff like that, so I imagine she's probably seen sloths there. So I need to do it eventually, but I'm gonna draw myself as a sloth and get her a T-shirt with that on it. But
So just a normal photo of you then?
Yeah, exactly. Me on the sofa.
Your son, the sloth, isn't it?
I feel like I'm doing that thing where, you know how when you express an interest in like a thing once, and then every birthday and Christmas present you get for the next 10 years is also like you're just going to be getting oodies like
every
long
year,
into your twilight years you'll still be getting oodies.
Look, I'm not opposed to wearing 5 hoodies at once.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I was just thinking I'd love to see you know how the those Clint Eastwood movies, the Man with No Name, the cowboy ones? Yeah. So he would go into town wearing like a poncho and have his guns and stuff under that. I'd love to see an opposite version that's just like cold. It's like somewhere in the Arctic, whatever. And he's just got an oodie on instead of the poncho.
How good.
Yeah.
And the front pockets go like right through, so you probably could just like put one hand in and then shoot out the other side. I can see it happening.
The trick shot. Oh, that's fantastic. So then is this something you plan on? Are you going to be forming a collection of oodies as well, or is it sort of one is enough? Do you have like an office oodie and a home oodie? No, you said you weren't allowed to.
Yeah, I wish I was. If I was, I 100% would. And I think now, because the price was the main thing stopping me getting a proper one, but now that I've experienced a proper one, I think I could shell out. Yeah, I think I could end up just having like a every day of the week hoodie. Like I'm the type of person that would do. Oh, sorry, you're wearing the Tuesday hoodie, but it's a Wednesday. Get it together.
Jeez, Charn, your life's really falling apart.
Yeah.
It's like, you know when they say, I'll never tell you if I win the lottery, but there will be signs. You've got like a tuxedo hoodie. You're at the casino. You've got
just like a walk-in wardrobe full of hoodies.
Do you have any dream like, if you could have an oodie with this design, that would be one that you really want at the moment?
Well, I don't know if you can get custom.
Well, let's say it was not like it was a magic. You could have whatever you want.
Yeah. My face. No, I'm kidding. That's terrifying. Probably. I mean, I'm a huge cat fan.
Yeah.
I love cats. They are the best animal.
Tremendous.
And you can say otherwise and be wrong. That's fine. And I know it sounds like a real generic thing to say cats, but I think either that or pizza.
Yeah, that's a cool design.
So there is a pizza on, and I got asked recently what my favourite food was, and I thought, I can't say pizza because that's like a real generic thing. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, it's pizza. It's my comfort food. If I'm like, I can't be bothered cooking, what do I get? Always pizza.
Yeah.
The problem would be if I was too tired wearing a pizza hoodie, I might think, I've dropped some pizza on me, and then try and eat it.
You just get these holes in your hoodie when you've had a go.
No. But yeah, no, I think that would be my design.
Pizza and
not
cats.
not a cat pizza.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, that's illegal.
I know there was an old cartoon called the Samurai Pizza Cats. They were like little cats that, I guess they were samurais, and they used to enjoy pizza, so you could kill two birds with one stone there.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
We'll have
make
to look-
that happen.
We'll have to look that up afterwards. I should launch some Ruddle Me This oodies, see if I can penetrate that market, as the tech bros would say.
Do it.
Disrupt. I don't know. So what was your second tiny joy there?
My second tiny joy is people watching.
So this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because fine line between people watching and
Stalking?
Yeah. Stalking, being a
I've never
pervert.
thought of it like that, but yeah, maybe.
Well, I think it depends on location, right? If you're in public, then that's great, but if you're like outside someone's bedroom window, no, officer, I'm people watching. Well, I guess this is the difference between person watching and people watching.
Yeah, exactly. But what if they're having an orgy and then you're looking out through the window? Is that...
Oh, so you're inside looking out, or
No, you're outside looking in. Is it? It's still people because there's multiple
True, there
people.
are
is
multiple
it?
people there.
Like loophole.
It's probably the cop just puts his cuffs away and he's like, fair enough.
I have no argument for this.
Yeah. So what kind of appeals to you about people watching?
So the term sonder, you may or may not be familiar with this.
For the listeners, maybe if you could tell them what it is.
Yeah, so it's sort of the realization that everyone, and going past or everyone else, has like a complex life and their own thoughts and feelings and interactions and stuff, and just like that realization and having that. So I get that quite a lot. I'll be walking and I'll go, I'll be thinking, I'm walking to the dairy to get some milk or whatever, and then I think, there's that person across the road. What are they doing? Are they going to the gym? Are they, and you sort of have that sort of thought process. And so I get quite wrapped up in that.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why I'm so invested in strangers, but I sort of do that. And I got to a point where I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and he said, yeah, sometimes I just sit outside Hagley Park and people watch.
Yeah.
And I laughed, and then he said, no, do you want to come to Hagley Park? And I went, all right. And then that actually became our weekly ritual, which now that I say it out loud sounds a bit creepy. But we would just park in the car and then watch, because there's the perimeter of the park and like a path, and people run and walk or whatever, and we'd just sit there and just watch. And the best part was just because you don't know what their story is, right?
Yeah.
So you make it up.
Yes.
That's the absolute best part. You make it up, and like sometimes it'll be like, that person's going to the gym or whatever. And then other times it would get real ridiculous. Like, I remember this one time, there was this couple, I presume they're a couple, and they're pushing a baby in a pram.
Yeah.
And, clearly on like a nice day out walking, whatever. And I just went, that baby's not theirs. My friend was like, what do you mean? And I said, they've just stolen that baby. Like, they pre-planned it. They got a pram. They don't even have a kid, but they bought a pram, and they're just pushing it around. They waited for a baby to be, not eyed on. I worded that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Unsupervised.
That's the word, thank you. Unsupervised, and they've stolen it, and then they're just pretending that it's theirs, but no one's going to question them because it's a baby in a pram, And just like
the perfect crime.
Yeah, it really is. And just make up ridiculous stuff.
Right.
Which I find quite funny. And then with Hagley, because it's sort of like a bit of a loop, you get people that run. And there was this guy, and he had like bright sneakers on.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, he's, he's a bit of a fashionista, but he works with the lads, and they can't know. So his one thing that he allows himself is his bright shoes. That's his one, like, hey, I've got style.
Yeah.
And then he kept doing laps, and then we were trying to like think of a different thing every time, and we were just like, we're running out of ideas, man. And my friend was like, oh, it's like the NPCs, they just like keep respawning the same non-playable character. Like, yeah,
funny.
come on, Matrix, we need more.
That whole thing of Sunder is so bizarre. I feel like with car driving especially, everyone completely forgets that it's like other people around, and it's literally just like, oh, what's all this stuff in my way, and like they're trying to get into the front of like the thing only to end up like in the back of another queue, and like it's do you feel like it's the word Sunder is not very well known? Like, do you feel like is this a thought that other people have a lot, or is it a sort of lack of conscientiousness in the world? I guess, that's what I think. But
yeah. I mean, I'm always been quite inquisitive about what other people are up to and what they're doing and why they do it. But then, you talk to people and you go, oh, you don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Like, you are in your own world 100% of the time. You have no like self-awareness or awareness of anything else. And as sad as it is, the older I get, the more people I encounter that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I think, oh, I'm special because I believe in Sonder or whatever, but I just think people generally are just, for whatever reason, maybe it's selfishness, maybe it's just being too busy with life, whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're more focused on themselves and what they're doing to really take the time to ponder what that stranger across the park is doing.
Ponder, that's a great
a
great thing. I saw a meme that was just like, the haters hate that I ponder, or something like that.
I
like
saw that one,
guy.
So good.
I think you're right though, like the supermarket and Kmart are the two places where I feel like people just lose any social skills that they had. Like, when you almost bump in, like, this is, so like, we were talking a little bit about autism off camera and stuff. Like, I heard how expensive they are, so I don't know if I'm going to get an autism test now, but like, I suspect I'm definitely on there. And like, I would say I'm not good with people, but like, even I have basic courtesy in like Kmart. Like, you accidentally sort of bump into someone's trolley or whatever, and like, I'll always say like, oh, sorry, or something, like, no, it'd be nice, and they just like stare at you.
Like they're gonna fight you or something. Can you like, bro, it was an accident.
Or it's like they don't even know how to process what's like. Oh, what do you mean? Someone's talking to me, like, oh, and
Human?
then like I literally saw a woman. This was in Kmart like a few weeks, like last week sometime. There's some, like the self-checkouts get real crazy at Kmart. There was a woman pushing a baby stroller up, and this other couple both like basically tripped over the front wheel of this, like trying to walk kind of in front, kind of over this baby stroller, and like, like when your feet hit things when you're trying to step over it, they both hit this baby stroller with their foot, didn't even look back, they just like stumbled and then kept walking, and I was like, what the hell, what kind of horrible lawless place have we come to?
It's because they knew that it wasn't really their baby.
Yeah, that was the couple. They called out to them. But then supermarkets is another thing, when people will just like, this is going to be very ageist of me, but old people I've found tend to like, you're walking out through the doors and they choose like right on the other side of the automatic doors to stop, and then suddenly looked panicked and pat their pockets down, and you're like, take like 3 steps to the left and you're not going to be impacting anyone else, but right there. And it's just like, it's like you say though, people are so wrapped up in their own life, and like I think everyone to an extent thinks that they're like the only one that's up against it, and everyone like, oh, look at all these people around me just shopping carefree, and they're going to go home to their glorious life. But it's like, I think we all think that kind of that about each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And I forgot where I was going with this rant, but oh shoot, I had a point to this. I don't know. Let's just move on then. I've lost it. I had right. Whatever thread I had.
You lost it. That's all right. Just
people in. Oh, that's right. Yeah, people in their lives are there's heaps going on and all this. Like, I always find it weird when, with like recycling and stuff, we're always told like, tighten the belt. You need to recycle. You need to reduce your energy use. And you're like, just surely it's not just the average person that is draining the Earth's resources. It's probably all these massive like mining and commercial fishing and all these massive industries.
Corporations,
But we're the ones that are told like, oh, here's your bag for life. You know? Use guys are really clogging up the oceans, all that kind of thing. I'm getting a little bit soapboxy here. Let's move on from that. Let's talk about more positive things in Sunday. I was going to say, is there any, like, what do you call it? Any moment that you had people watching where you were like particularly overcome by like Sunday? Like, did you did you feel like you really got an insight into someone's life from just watching them for a few seconds?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell because you never really know exactly what's going on unless it's blatantly pointed out, you know. But the time where I was really like, oh, I wonder, and I sort of got on this off-track thing, was I was watching someone read.
Yeah. And
they were just reading a book, and they were very, like, their expressions were just insane, and it was like 5 different emotions in 1 minute, I swear. And so initially I was like, what the hell are you reading? Because I want to read it. And then I sort of got onto the track of, oh, well, how often does that person read? And what genre do they normally read? And do they have a partner that's, like, you know, annoyed that they read so much? And, you know, and it just kind of went on to this big tangent. And then I think by the end of it, I ended up on something completely irrelevant, like, you know, I wonder what type of socks that you buy, you know, and it was just totally. And then I sort of caught myself and I was like, whoa, this is weird.
You're getting too deep into it.
Yeah. Like, from just watching this person read a book. So yeah, sometimes you can get a bit tangenty in your own mind about it.
I was going to say, if you're trying to figure out what they were reading, did you get up and like go and sit on the park bench next to them and like try to be casual and be like,
I should have.
You read any good books lately?
Yeah.
And then it was just like 50 Shades of Grey or something.
Or the Bible.
King James edition.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, do you like or dislike overhearing people's arguments in public?
I'll get into this when I get to one of my other tiny joys, but I'm someone who doesn't want to be involved in drama, but I want to see it unfold.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that because I'm like, oh, spill the tea.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just sitting there like, okay. And then, you know, obviously you get one side to the story or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting. And usually when that happens in my head, I'll be rooting for one person, you know. I'll be like, come on, Greg, Karen's clearly right here. You know, and you sort of like listen to them, and then sometimes the other person that you're rooting for will say something real off the wall and you're like, oh no, I have backed the wrong person.
Backed the wrong horse on this race.
Yeah.
I've overheard some great stuff in public. I was on the bus once and a guy's phone rings and we just hear a few snippets of it and you just hear, I guess it was on speaker or something like unintended, or it was just turned up loud because you just hear, you should feel fucking guilty for what you fucking done, and then it just like cuts off. And the guy hangs up and sort of shuts his phone and he kind of laughs nervously and sort of looks around to see who hurt, and we were all like, oh boy, what did you do, man?
Oh, I'm so invested now.
It was 0 to 100 and like, you know, she was ready to let this guy have it, and it felt like to me like the energy of like he's done something to her friend, because that feels like anger on someone else's behalf, but like,
see, I get like that about food. So if he ate the last chocolate bar or something, you know, like I could understand that.
You would be personally.
Yeah. You're like, listen here, you little fuck.
I overheard another just a little snippet of an argument. It was like, I think it was like mum and daughter or something. I was in Nelson for the Nelson Fringe, and I just overhear, like, you know, as you walk past, you just hear a bit of the conversation, and like, I'm sure this is a thing my mum said to us when we were little, because, you know, siblings always fighting and stuff. But I just hear the snippet of the mum going, I'm trying to, but you two have been at each other's throats the whole night. And that was like what I heard, like that was the snippet of that, and I was like, damn, that is a heavy argument to be having just on the street. Hey? And like, so I don't know what the context of it was, but I just remember overhearing that little bit and being like, wow, they're not having a good night.
But you also like, I kind of want front row tickets to this.
I really did consider pretending that I was getting a phone call and just kind of like, just standing there and just to hear the rest of what was going on there. But I don't think the kid was really coming back with anything. It was, you know, kids have that mumbly response. Should we move on to your next Tiny Joy?
Yeah.
What is that?
It is multiple drinks. And I purposely titled it that because it makes me sound like an alcoholic, but I don't actually drink alcohol. So, no, multiple non-alcoholic drinks. And as we are doing this podcast, I look to my left and I have a Nippy's iced chocolate, a Coke Zero, and my water bottle. So on point. So this is quite interesting because I've done this for a number of years. I've always had at least 2, usually 3 drinks at home, at work, just wherever.
I guess we should specify that this is at one, like you've got them on the go.
At the same time. Yeah. And I didn't really click that it wasn't that normal. I've always done it. And then I saw a meme on Facebook, and this is where I get a lot of my information from. I'm learning. Probably not the best, but hey ho.
Oh.
And it was like, do you have multiple drinks on the go at one time? And I was like, I'm listening. And I read further, and it was like, you might have ADHD. And I was like, And then underneath it said, or be bisexual, which made me laugh. And I was like, well, I
yes to both.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I identify as pansexual. I said bisexual for a long time, and I'm not. Don't want to get into the ins and outs of it, but I don't really mind if I'm labelled as one or the other. Point being, I like men and women, so that made me laugh at that part of the meme. But in terms of ADHD, I've not been officially diagnosed, but there's more than one sign that I might have it.
Well, you're currently throwing a rubber massage ball that I gave you because I warned you about the table before this, hitting your knuckles on the table, whatever, and so you were like, you need to give me something.
I need to hold something
to get all my energy out of.
Yeah, which has been great.
I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, but that it definitely looks like it could be. Yeah.
No, there's a few signs.
So do you think you'll go and get a diagnosis, or is it one of those things that it's not really making your life unbearable?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I know the things about me that don't work, for lack of a better term, but I've come up with ways to navigate it. So for me, even like going to this podcast, I have a list in front of me. So I live and die by lists. If I'm at work and I don't write a list every single day, nothing will get done, but I know that, so I make a list.
Chandler's lists. Sorry, that was a really bad That was a Holocaust joke, Jesus.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna skip past that for both of us.
That's fair.
No, so I know that about me, and then I see my friends who I strongly suspect also have ADHD, and I see
real recognize real, right?
Yeah. I'm like, you got something going on, and then I see how just chaotic their lives are because they don't have a handle on things, and so I mean everything's a spectrum, right? And ADHD is ADHD regardless of whether you've got it really bad or not. But I think in terms of like a healthcare system that's not doing so well, I feel
could be better.
Bad. And I feel bad kind of using resources to get diagnosed when I can hold down a job, and I know other people can't hold down a job because they just can't, like it's a lot worse. So that sort of put me off. I think eventually I probably will, because there are some things that go with that, like anxiety, that can be pretty bad. But I know sort of techniques to help with all that stuff. And another big thing that I do is if I'm, say, putting the washing out, I'm hanging it out, I will hang out maybe half of it, and my brain will go, you left a dirty dish in the sink, and I will abandon the washing and go do the dishes, and then halfway through that I'll be like, oh fuck, I was doing the washing, and I'll run back and do it, and then my brain will go something else. And the thing is, if I don't immediately do the thing that my brain thinks of at the time, it will be lost forever. So so I'm like, okay, I have to do that. But then the problem is remembering to complete the task that you started first. And so I've started sort of like carrying around pen and paper with me when I'm at home and I'm doing chores, because I know that happens, to write down, and then I will tick it off when I've completely done it. So if there's not a tick, I know I haven't done that.
That's a good idea.
Especially if it's in like a different room of the house and I'm just all over the place. I'm like, there's something that I haven't quite finished, but I don't remember what. And so I definitely have ways of doing it. But linking that back to the multiple drinks, I don't know how that relates specifically to ADHD. I just dropped the ball a little.
That was it.
Sorry. But I don't know where that came from, or if it was just for the meme.
Well, it's recently become a bit of a meme the multiple drinks thing. I've heard it. I think maybe it was even you that said it, where you're like, one drink is for hydration, one drink is for caffeine, and one drink is like just for me or
For taste, yeah,
for taste, yeah. What is your kind of usual? Because when you're at work, you've sometimes sent me like Snapchats of your beverages for the day. Like, what is your? Do you have a combination of 3 that you tend to go for?
Yeah, so usually it's my water bottle, which I just want to side tangent about. I won't say the brand name because I don't want to get in trouble, but it's a very popular, expensive bottle, and they claim that it's so expensive because it's a metal bottle and it can't dent. About 4 hours after I bought this $80 bottle, I dropped it and put a huge dent in the bottom of it, and I was so annoyed. Yeah. But to be fair, it does keep my water really cold, so
nice.
That's good. So yeah, my water, usually I have a Coke Zero, because if it's zero sugar, I can convince myself that it's healthier for me.
Hell yeah.
Health. And then usually my third drink will be a tea, because I don't drink coffee, and I don't do energy drinks anymore. I've been a year clean off energy drinks.
Nice.
So that's sort of what the Coke Zero is for, the caffeine. And then the tea is taste for me. I really like tea. It's one of those things, when I see someone make a coffee, I'm like, how can you drink that? And it's such a popular drink, and I don't get it. And someone said to me, what you need to do is you need to have a mocha, right? You need to just put a little bit of chocolate in, sweeten it up, and then eventually, put less and less chocolate in it, and then it'll be a coffee. And that's how you get onto coffee.
Yeah.
And I sort of looked at them and I was like, look, I don't want to have to wean myself onto something. Like, if it tastes so shit that I have to add something else to it to make it bearable to drink, it's probably not good.
Yeah. Like you're weaning yourself off opiates or something.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah. No, I think I'm exactly the same with beer. People always say it's an acquired taste, and I think like, well, if I have to do all this work to acquire the taste,
it's not for me.
Yeah, I'm fine not having it. Eh?
Exactly.
Oh, brilliant.
But no, tea is where it's at, and there was this.
What kind of tea do you go for?
Well, this is a revelation. So I always went with English breakfast because my granddad's British, and so it just seemed appropriate, and that's just the thing I went for every time. And then someone gave me an Earl Grey. Like, this only just happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. It's a big revelation for me.
Breaking the news here on Ruddle Me This.
We really are.
We got the scoop.
You do indeed. I was like, Earl Grey. I'm used to English breakfast. Like, I can't be changing that. No, just try it.
Yeah.
My God, it was, I feel bad saying this, but it was so much better.
Wow.
And now I'm fully converted. I don't drink English breakfast anymore. I only drink Earl Grey.
Because that's usually the two schools. People are either English breakfast or Earl Grey. What is the difference? Is it just a different flavour?
It's just a different flavour. I don't know the ins and outs of the tea, but...
My grandparents were always Bell drinkers. I don't know if if that's a bougie tea or if that's like a...
I think it's a middle of the road brand, but it's pretty. That's what my dad drinks. And I feel like it's similar to English breakfast. I mean, I could be wrong. Don't fact check me, please.
I might have to do a tea tasting session myself, because I'd be curious to see which side of that fence I land on.
Do you know, it was really funny. So my flatmate, his girlfriend and I were talking, and she's like, I want to do like a tea dunking party thing. And I was like, okay. And so she sort of vaguely explained it, and then I thought I understood, and then I was reiterating something, and then she's like, oh no, that's not what I meant. So what she meant was like getting a cup of tea and then different biscuits, and then dunking the biscuits in the tea, and then seeing. I thought she meant different teas.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah, which is way better.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, Molly. But yeah, so I was like, but we could do both. And then I was like, how many different combinations could you get with all these different teas and all these different biscuits? Like, you'd have to cap it at some point, but like, that's enough.
Well, you could do like, when you go to a brewery or a wine tasting, they give you that board that's got all the glasses sort of through it. You could do that with teas, and then have like a tray or something for the biscuits. That could work quite well. We could do a video of that for like a video follow up to this. That could be kind of cool.
I'd love it.
What is your favorite biscuit to go with tea?
This is going to make me sound like a basic bee, but the wine biscuits.
Oh yeah.
Do you know And I feel like it's like an old person biscuit, you know what I mean? Like I never see people our age eating them,
Right.
but then you go to like someone's grandma's house and they've got them. you know?
Right.
But like they're good by themselves, but I feel like they just pair perfectly with the tea.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because they're not like, you know, chocolatey or anything like
Yeah.
that. They're just very plain.
Yeah, I always used to like those. I don't know what it was my grandparents had, but that was a good one.
Yeah, they're so good.
I heard about something kind of recently. Apparently, people drink like tea and coffee through a Tim Tam. They like bite the ends off
I
it.
tried
And
this.
they call it a Tim Tam slam, which I'd never heard of before.
I didn't know it had a name. I
Yeah.
love that Tim Tam Slam. I tried this, again, revelation for the first time, maybe a month ago. And I heard about it, and I was like, oh, I finally should try this, so I love Tim Tams.
Tim Tams are biscuits. Any international listeners? It's like a what is it? 2 pieces of wafer with like
Thick chocolate coating on the outside,
then
and then
between-
sometimes carrot. Well, depends on the flavour. There's like
Yeah.
a double chocolate, normal one, and then
yeah.
I don't know what you call that stuff in the middle.
It's
good.
It's like mousse almost. In the middle.
Yeah.
Some
It is kind of like mousse.
like
yeah,
icing almost on a cake. Frosting as the Americans would call it.
yeah, frosting. Yeah,
So it's a chocolate. It's a very
delicious.
it's a very decadent chocolate cookie. As the
It's
Americans
so
would call it.
good. And so I heard about this, and I acquired some Tim Tams, and I was like,
It sounds like you stole them or something. Like
I'm not admitting nor denying it.
you just walked up with a note saying put all the Tim Tams in the bag,
and no one gets it. Yeah.
No one gets Tim Tam slammed.
No, I legally acquired the Tim
Nice.
Tams. Don't worry.
Nice.
And then I remembered seeing this, and I was like, oh, I don't know how it works, but surely, fine. Bite both ends off, it becomes a straw. Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just did it wrong, but I was holding the Tim Tam, and I had the thing, and I like sucked up, and it worked. Like it worked like a straw. I got my drink through. I was like, this is great. And then the second go through,
Was melted.
the whole Tim Tam melted and disintegrated and went into the cup. And I was like, oh, so is this only good for one?
It's a one hitter.
Yeah. So if you're gonna try it, you've got one shot,
One
and
and
then
done,
it
yeah.
becomes mush in the cup.
Alrighty, let's move on to your next tiny joy.
Yes, unhinged Facebook posts.
Did I send you that group? Did I send you the I don't think I did. So someone made a Facebook group that's called something like Official Facebook Complaints, and like boomers and just people that don't understand the internet think it's the real way to complain. And like I'll just, if you talk about it, I'll find some of them on my phone because they are hilarious. So you talk about why you like them.
So as I sort of mentioned earlier, I don't want to be involved in drama, but I want to see it unfold. And Facebook is just like a cesspool of stupidity and drama, and I can get lost in it for hours. Yeah.
It's turned into the Wild West again, hasn't it?
It really is, yeah.
So I found it. So they made a thing called Facebook Complaints Center, and some of the complaints you get, like someone writes, "You have banned me for absolutely no reason, and I demand a bloody answer." Someone writes a comment on that, "Can you get your marketplace back? I was hacked." Another person writes, "Why can't I post anything?" Someone writes, "Facebook denies my friend request to a first cousin in Scotland. Kenny McGillivray because they say I don't know him. I had a long conversation with him on WhatsApp the other day. Of course I know him, and a friend request to his sister Eileen was accepted. Why am I getting punished for reposting something posted by something else?" Someone writes back, "Ain't that the truth?"
Oh, how good.
Someone writes, it's all capitals by the way as well. "I have a cleaning business for 5 years. Lumar Cleaning Ladies. I cannot go into my account. Had 1k followers and 1k likes. There was no reason to block it. Think someone was jealous. Please help me to open my page again. I lost a lot of business." And it's just, I'll send them all to you later, but there's just so, like someone writes here, "Why was my comments restricted? This go against my constitutional rights and my standards. I'm ticked off." And it's just like, I think someone wrote it. They said they're written by people that seem like they're suffering a concussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny to me because I remember when Facebook was first sort of becoming a thing, and at the time, Bebo, rest in peace.
Yeah, I remember Bebo.
It got shut down not that long ago, actually, but
oh, man.
yeah, because I tried to get into my old one. I was like, what was I posting?
Yeah.
But no, it's been shut down now. But back then, that was the young person's name was Bebo, and it was only like my parents that had Facebook, and it was only old people. And I remember thinking at the time, I'd never get Facebook. That's old people stuff. Now, bye bye Bebo, and Facebook's all the rage. But I feel like people sort of perpetually just live on Facebook, and that's their only, that's where they get all the information from, all the entertainment and stuff. And a little bit hypocritical, because I'm not gonna lie, if I'm having a bad day, I just jump on there, and within 5 minutes I'm like, dumbass, and I feel so much better. But it is just these unhinged posts. So like, there's so many different types that I come across. One that's been quite common will be people in like flatmate wanted type groups, and they'll be like showing this room that's no bigger than a shoebox, like it's tiny, and they'll want like $1,000 a week for it, and then they're like trying to upsell it or whatever, and they'll be like, great location, great location, no mildew at all, and you just like basic stuff that you
very
would expect.
limited black mold,
just things that you would expect there to not be anywhere,
should be a given. And
then it's like a stupid amount of money, and then of course all just the laugh reacts on it because it's such a ridiculous request. And then you'll have people, like some people genuinely trying to like give them advice, like, hey, I don't know if you've looked around at the market value, but you're asking a bit much, quite earnestly. And then you'll just get people going like, I have plates that are bigger than that, just things that don't even make sense. I've got a plate that's bigger than this room, and stuff, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? And then I genuinely don't know if it's people not understanding like the market, and that you can't just charge $1,000 for a tiny room, or if they're like, surely someone will pay it, and if I just put it up, someone will be dumb enough to come along. Like, I'm not sure where on the fence it is.
And they always have this laundry list of requests. They'll be like, no weirdos, no smokers, no pets, suit quiet working professional who does not throw part. They basically just want you to pay rent and then not even touch anything, just sit in the...
Can't even live here, can't even sleep here.
Yeah, exactly.
There was one, and oh god, surely it was a troll, but I don't know, in this day and age. And so it was this guy, and he was probably like in his mid-50s or something, and he was like looking for a roommate, and he gets through it. It's all pretty reasonable stuff that you would expect. And it was like, oh, by the way, you'd be my roommate, not housemate, as in like sharing the bed. And then
wow.
And then it was like, only like just roommates, no funny business. And it was like ... But if that happens, I'm not opposed to it. And I was just like, this isn't a dating site, my dude. Like,
that's so predatory.
It was so creepy. But yeah, I just really loved the comments that people put back, just like slamming into it, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So that's quite amusing.
Tremendous.
So I enjoy that. The other one I'm a big fan of is vague booking, I call it.
Oh, is that where people write like, had a shit day, and then all their friends are like, I'll PM you?
Yeah. What's wrong, babe? And you're like, I don't want to talk about it. So like that, and I sort of in the similar vein to what you're saying, when people would type in capital letters and stuff, and they'll just put on their posts, like, I saw one, it was like, you know who you are, hussy. And I was like, whoa, okay, I don't know who it is, so you should spill the tea.
You try to message other friends like, hey, you see that?
Like, she just called someone a hussy, but she's not saying who. Like, I need to know. And it's just like real vague, or like, you know what you did, and just things like that. And you're like, but I don't know what they did, and I want to know. Give me more context.
There should be, how Twitter now will give context for certain things. There should be like a thing for Facebook where it's like, no, you haven't given us enough
we
details.
Need more,
Give us a little more to go
You've
on.
Not hit the minimum criteria for this status update. So big fan of the vague booking.
One thing I miss was like, because now we're both at that age where like people that the only time you'll see a relationship change on Facebook will be like oh, that couple that you've known for like 7 years have gotten married now or something like that. But like, man, that used to be juicy gossip when you'd see someone go from in a relationship to single. You'd be like, I wonder what happened.
Damn.
That would be that'd be like a good day because there's going to be some gossip around the mill. But nowadays it's all boring. It's just like, oh, they got engaged on a holiday together and they've already been dating for 7 years.
Yeah,
so it's no new information is being presented. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, that's right. And then the other one, which I've come across more recently, that I don't know if it should make me laugh, but I'm going to out myself as a piece right now, but posts where I think it's in advice groups, right? And so that's why I feel like a piece of shit laughing, because they're clearly going through some stuff. But the whole concept of it makes me laugh, and I'll explain what I mean specifically. So there'll be a post, and it'll be a girl, and she's saying, oh, you know, my boyfriend never cleans up after himself. You know, he doesn't pay rent and he stops me seeing all my friends, right? And so he paints this picture of this like real abusive piece of crap, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll get to the last line, it'll be like, so anyway, last night I ate 2 slices of the pizza instead of 1. Am I the arsehole?
Wow.
You know, and you're just like, and it's so amusing to me. And again, I maybe it's coming from a place of genuine, but it's like they list all these things and how like this person's so bad, and then they say something that in comparison is so minor. Do you know what I mean? It's like they never pay rent, they don't do this, like they're clearly a piece of shit, and you're worried about eating an extra slice of pizza. You know what I mean? And it's like that whole like, am I the arsehole? Like clearly you're not. Yeah. You know, and I'm sort of on the fence about it, but it does kind of tickle me a little bit because I'm like, really? And then I've been there, not to that extreme, so I do try and empathise a lot, and if I try not to comment too much, but if I do, it's always from a place of like helping that person, you know, and not like laughing at them or whatever. But it's just like when you take it out of the context of that, it's like it's such a minor thing, you know, and just the idea of like, am I the arsehole for doing this? And I'm like, oh my god, I wouldn't last 2 seconds or someone that
I think
that, you know.
It's a little bit of that frog boiling. You've ever heard that expression where if you chuck a frog into boiling water, it'll jump out straight away, but if you gradually bring the temperature up, it'll just die. It'll just boil and die.
Yeah.
I think that's, people have that a lot with relationships where they don't realise how bad it's gotten until, like, I think you would hope that them seeing it written down like that would make them go, oh, wait, yeah, no, that is really, like, ridiculous that I would be so worried about that.
Yeah.
But, you would hope that they would read it and be like, what advice would you give a friend going through this situation? That's
a big thing. But on the sort of flip side of those posts that I really enjoy is when they've come to that realization, you know, so it's sort of like the glow up afterwards, and they're like, no, he was a piece of shit, or she, you know, whichever way you go. Yeah. And they're just like living their best. Like I remember this one, and this girl, she said, oh, you know, when I was with my ex, he didn't let me wear crop tops or anything because he said, you know, it's too revealing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, since then, I've slept with 7 guys, and I, you know, and I had a threesome last night. And it's just like, and I just like, yes, queen, like. So so those kind of unhinged posts I love, and I fully support that, and just coming out the other side of that and realizing their worth, and just seeing them change from, you know, oh, I never went out, I never did anything, and now, you know, I've been to the sex club 5 times, you know, and it's just like, just real liberating. Well, so I love that.
I've been reading, I read this book called Why Does He Do That? It's a real commonly recommended book for women that think they might be in an abusive relationship but they don't know. And great book, really, really good, really eye-opening. But you would see so much of that like controlling behaviour of like, he doesn't let me do this, he doesn't let me do that, and but then also somehow they'd be convincing her that like, oh, maybe she's like, they always say like, look what you made me do, or something like that. It's always the thing. This is getting very dark, so I'm going to move off the dark thing.
That's all right.
One of my favourite things to see was on Reddit, sometimes people would make like a thread and like an advice thing, and they would post their side of the story, and you'd think like, man, that poor person, and then their partner or whatever would find it and make their response, and they would just get absolutely clapped. Like, there's some good ones of like guys talking about how like they're in like a dead bedroom and they never sleep together anymore or something, and to the guy's point of view, it's always like for no reason, not like out of nowhere. And then his wife will find it and be like, no, here's all the stuff you do or don't do. and then you're just like, oh no, he brought that on himself. Like,
Yeah.
he totally deserves that.
He was in the wrong here, for sure.
So that's one of my favourite joys, is seeing when people clap back, and it's like
good,
they have receipts, and just it's glorious.
That is so good, just like dragging people, like, but deservedly, you know what I mean? Like, not just for the sake of it, but like, no, you've really messed up, and I've got the proof. Especially when people lie about something, you know,
or they
and
minimise their own.
Or they minimise, they don't take responsibility, and someone's like, actually, if you look at the evidence, and that's always quite vindicating. I like it. I'll just quickly finish on this. This one I saw, and the power of the internet, but. There was this woman, and she had, I think she was in America or Australia, one of the two, because they're the same country. It's fine. But she was married, and then her husband basically ghosted her. Right, so they had been together for a few years. They had a kid, had a kid together, and I feel like he was in the military, like the Navy, Army, something like that. And he'd sort of gone away, and then he was meant to come back, and he just didn't. And she tried calling him and all the stuff, and couldn't get a hold of him. And she was like, well, we've got a son, like, what's going on? And in her desperation, she was like, she hadn't talked to him in about a year at this point, and in her desperation, she posted in this Facebook group, and she was like, look, I don't care, I don't want to get back with him, like, I don't even necessarily want child support, I just want to find him so we can sign the divorce papers, like, I just want to be done with it. And within an hour of that being posted, we found this guy, and he was like in another relationship, and obviously the new person had no idea that he was still married with the kid and stuff, and he got dragged. And I think the worst part, like, he had changed his name, but someone had recognized him from something. He was on some, like, I think it was like a cooking reality TV show or something stupid. So like he'd been on the TV, but obviously under a different name. But yeah, someone recognised him and was like, wait, is that the same? And it totally was. So yeah, they tracked him down, and then he'd agreed to like meet up with her and sign the papers. So it all worked out. But yeah, just seeing like that process, I was like, oh, this guy, what a piece. And then just how quickly the internet sleuthed that and found him, like, we've got him. And then she got the resolution that she needed, which was great.
Some people in like institutions and stuff are not really used to how quick the internet works anymore. Like, do you remember when Kate Middleton was like missing or something, they released that photo, and I remember hearing a reporter say, like, back in the day, the palace or whatever you call the institution, they would just release a photo to the press and that would be the end of it. But now with the internet, you have everyone being like, no, her sleeve looks weird, what's going on here? Like, they weren't used to, like, it's AI being questioned, and so then they had, I don't know whether they were forced to or not, but I just remember like they haven't really kept up with the times, and that like it's like, no, you don't just release a photo and then you don't get asked any follow-up questions. It's like you're constantly being asked questions and tweeted at and stuff. But yeah, no, online Facebook is just like, even with stand-up, we've started trying to transition away from using it, like trying to create groups for the comedian lineups and stuff is just a nightmare now. So I'm trying to do it all through email now, and like even trying to advertise and stuff on there just doesn't really seem like it's worth it anymore. So I really feel like we're in the last days of Rome with Facebook. Like, I don't know how much longer it's going to be relevant anymore for. So
I guess it's just oversaturated, right? Like, there's so many people on and so many people advertising different products, and it's so, like, I swear in my feed I don't even see what my friends post anymore, or even like groups I've joined. It's all like suggested posts and stuff,
it's
and
horrible,
I'm like, I'm not even into this. Like, why are you showing me this? I want to see what the people I've chose to follow are doing, and I don't know how to change it. So you could be right, but until then I will enjoy the unhinged posts.
Exactly. Well, if the city's burning, sit back and watch the flames.
You got it.
Roast some marshmallows on it. So what was your last tiny joy?
My last tiny joy is knocking things over, much like a cat.
So this was the one that made me laugh when you sent me your list ahead of time. Let's give us a little more context on in what sort of situations do you enjoy knocking stuff over?
Yeah. So I can't tell you when this started, but it's been a while, and it's almost like this compulsion I have, and so generally it will be out of people's hands, but sometimes if something is really close to the edge of a table or whatever, I'll feel the urge. And I will clarify that I'm not a complete arsehole. So if someone's like has a hot drink or something valuable in their hands, like I'll never hit it out. I might have the urge to, but I'll always refrain.
Discipline will.
Yeah. I've learned. But if it's something that's especially like a bit of paper or something, I'll just straight up and hit it out of people's hands. Like and I have to be careful at work because if it's a colleague that I know really well, and it's like they'll laugh and it's fine. But if it's like the new recruit, and I'm just like, hey bud, how's your first day going? It's probably going to get me in some trouble. And I don't know what it is. There's something just so satisfying about knocking something over. But I'm also a bit of a people pleaser, so like I'll do it and then I'll immediately be like, shit, I'm so sorry, and then pick it up, which I feel like ruins my cool points because they're like, oh, she's a bad no, she's picking it up and saying sorry. But I can't resist the urge. And my partner, he knows this about me, and so he'll purposely just hold things up so that I can whack them out of his hands.
That's lovely.
And sometimes I'll be like, all right, I'm going to do it. And you can't do it when they're telling you to do it, right? Because it ruins the thing. Yeah. So I'll be like watching TV, holding something, all right, I'm going to bide my time. Okay, now. And you do it. But it's also human reflex when you're playing that game, so to speak, to hold on tight to the thing in your hands when you think someone's going to knock it out. So occasionally he'll hold the thing too tight, and when I go to whack it, it won't go out of his hands, and that's the most frustrating thing of my life. And he did it the other night, and he looks at me and he's like, oh, do you want to try again? And I was like, no, I can't just do it because you've told me.
It's too artificial that time.
Yeah. I was like, look, I had one shot and I blew it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what it is. It probably is just impulse control issues, if I'm being perfectly honest. But as I said, it's never anything, dangerous or valuable. Like if someone's holding grandma's ashes, I'm not going to be like, sorry, grandma.
You're just walking up, like rubbing your hands together like an old cartoon.
This will go everywhere.
You're like at the funeral, just looking at the urn, like, oh, soon.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to come up and say goodbye to grandma? I would.
She wanted to travel.
So you were saying it seems like it's more of a thing when someone's holding something, but if you see it on a desk or something, does that do anything for you?
Yeah. So if it's something like near the edge, my brain's like, that's its own fault for being near the edge. Whack. And I've done.
Do you try to be like nonchalant about it and like
walk over
looking away and then just like...
just whack, 100%. I'm like whack and then just keep walking.
Yeah.
The problem is my office has a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, someone will see and they will call me out on it. Why did you just knock that over? I'm like, I don't have a reasonable answer other than it's fun.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. And the great thing is like doing stand-up comedy, it's given me an excuse to whack stuff.
What, like the audience members?
Yeah, well...
They put their feet up on the stage, you just
like,
karate chopping their knees?
No, so like sometimes if I'm doing... like new material, whatever, and I might have like a notebook or something on a stool in front of me, whatever. I think I did it at one of your shows with Can Do Comedy not that long ago. I was explaining some bit and then I just whacked the notebook off the thing.
Maybe you did, yeah.
And the thing with stand-up is like you can do any wacky stuff and no one really questions it, They're just like, oh, that's a perfectly reasonable, funny thing to do, Whereas I feel like other times in my life it's a bit more like questioned of like, are you okay? But, at a show it's like, that's funny.
Oh, so funny. Pure comedy.
Yes, I'm a genius. So I quite enjoy that. But yeah, it's annoying when people have good reflexes. I misjudge because I wear glasses and my depth perception's not great. So sometimes if it's on the edge of a table and I'll go to knock it and then it'll like go further to the edge but still doesn't go off. I'm like, God damn it.
That's going to be humiliating.
Yeah, it is every time.
You just look at it like, I'll be back for you later.
Yeah, when you least expect it. And I've had that happen and then I've tried to knock the same object a second time and then the same thing's happened and I'm like, you know what, I quit. My career's over.
Yeah, that's understandable. Well, we're basically coming up on an hour, and that is your 5 tiny joys done and dusted. So where can the wonderful listeners of Ruddle Me This find more Charn if they want to?
They can find more of me at Charn Williams Comedian on Facebook. Charn, Charn, because as I say, my parents hate me, so they decided to spell it weird.
How would it normally have been spelled? S?
Yeah, Sian is the common one, or I have seen Sharn, but yeah, usually not with the C, and that's usually the first thing people say, oh, Sean, they go S. I'm like, nope, you've already messed it up.
Start over.
Yeah,
I feel like the listeners of Ruddle Me This, if you're going to be going to a Sean show, bring like a flower pot or something and just hold
please.
Hold it out while she's doing her set, and see how long she can resist chopping it out of your hand. One other plug to get in, your quiz. Tell us about your quiz.
Yes, so I host a G quiz at Winniebago's in Fairymead, and that is every Thursday at 7 o'clock, and it is free to play, and there are some awesome prizes to be won, so I'm hosting that, so hopefully you will be there. Yeah,
get amongst it. Great pizza, one of my favourite pizza places in town. Alright, Sean, let's wrap this up. Thanks for doing these 2 episodes with me. Cheers.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a good night.
Ran out of steam at the end there. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ruddle Me This. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave me a review on your favourite podcast platform. You can find me on social media at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all the major platforms. You can also join patreon.com/Taylor Ruddle Comedy for free, which gets you access to all sorts of extras and behind the scenes content, as well as allows you to communicate directly with me and let me know what you think of the show. Tune in again next Monday for another episode of Ruddle Me This, and until then, Ruddle her out.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.